Welcome to the Business Wealth Show, and today's installment is Strategic Chats, which means it is my open Q&A session where you can ask me anything about your business or indeed about mine. For those of you that are new to me, my name is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I'm a chartered accountant, certified profit first professional and financial strategist, and we help business owners take home lots more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. The Strategic Chat segment is all about me answering your questions. So do make sure that you ask those questions in the comments so that I can answer them. I also want to give you a kind of brief rundown of some top things in the budget, which has just been announced in the UK for our UK watchers and listeners. I am going to be doing a full budget update session at 8 p.m. UK tonight once we've had a chance to go through these things a little bit more in a bit more detail as well. So I would love for you to join me for that this evening for a budget update. Hey, Harry, thank you for joining me. So like I say, this is my open Q&A session, which is open for you to ask any questions about your business or indeed about mine. Now, whilst you are thinking of the questions, whilst you're typing in the question box, I'm going to do a quick rundown of what was shared in the budget today in terms of business and what that looks like. Furlough being extended to September, of course, that was kind of leaked yesterday. For employees, there will be no change. They will still get 80% of salaries, but there will start being business contributions from July, 10%, and then August and September, 20% contributions there. Self-employed grants, a fourth and a fifth self-employed grant coming out. The fifth one will be kind of means tested based on revenue reduction. So that's a little bit of difference. As I say, I will go into these much more detail this evening. I will be live at 8 p.m. UK to go into more detail on that as well. And the big one really, there's some more grants as well, restart grants available, a new recovery loan available as well. The big one is the corporation tax increase. Corporation tax increasing to 25% from April 2023. That will come into full effect for businesses with profits over £250,000. Businesses with profits of 50k and under will have a small rate of 19%, and there will be a taper between as well. One thing, though, that really surprised me was not all the announcements that happened today, but actually a very small piece of information, a small statistic that the Chancellor shared today, and that is that 1.4 million businesses, that's 70% of UK companies, have annual profits of £50,000 or less. That is incredible. As a business, most of you know that our mission is to increase profitability and take home for business owners. And when I hear that 70% of businesses have a profit of 50k or less, that percentage is way too high, way too high, and it's something we need to be really changing in this country. We need to make sure that businesses are more profitable than that. So that was something that really hit me from today's session as well. Like I say, join me at 8 p.m. tonight. I'm going to go into detail. I've got about, how many points do I have that are going to affect small business? 17 different items that I'll go through in much more detail at 8 p.m. this evening. So make sure you tune in for that, and that will I'll be doing that later. Rubina, lovely to see you, and thank you so much for your kind words. I very much appreciate it. So we have a question from Harry. This is my Q&A session, of course. So I am here to answer your business questions. That is what I'm all about in this session. So do make sure you ask them in the comments and let me have a look at Harry's question. So when is the best time to go from sole trade to limited? So this is there's a few reasons why you would want to switch from sole trade to limited, and not all of them are financial. So that's something to bear in mind, is that not every reason is going to be a financial reason. That is not going to be the sole decision for most people. Many people want to move to limited company because they believe it makes them look bigger. There's a kind of prestige aspect to that. And that can often be a big reason why people choose to transition over. But from a tax perspective, from a financial perspective, if your profits are somewhere in the region of 20 to 30K a year, it starts to make sense to become a limited company. That is profits, not revenue, but profitability in that region. It starts to make financial sense to be transitioning over to a limited company. But like I said, that is not the only reason that you might decide to be a limited company. Of course, limited company gives you limited liability as opposed to a sole trader. And as I said, there's also a prestige aspect that people sometimes relate with having a limited company. They sometimes feel like they might be dealing with somebody who's more established, et cetera, et cetera. So there are other things to consider other than just the financial aspect. So do make sure that you kind of consider that and keep that in mind as well. So lovely to have you all on today. I do appreciate it. Let me just check my comments. It is lovely to see you, Justine. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. And let's just check to see who we've got, because I can see some comments coming through, but it's very difficult to see all of them sometimes. So I'm just going to give a quick check for commentary on my phone as well, which is not playing. So that's okay. So this is my strategic chat session. This is my open Q&A, which means I'm here to answer any questions that you have about your business or indeed about mine. I'm happy to answer those. So do make sure you ask in the comments box. That is entirely what Strategic Chats is all about. So I would love to help and support you with the questions that you may have. Harry, you are welcome. I would love to answer any questions that you do have about your business. Like I did mention, I am going to be doing a budget session at 8 p.m. UK time today. So if you are in the UK, you are wanting to know a rundown and my opinions on the budget that has just happened, the spring budget, what that means for your business, what that means for small business in general, then I will be covering that today. I will be covering that later. So do make sure you tune in for that this evening. As I say, I've got something like 17 points written down that I want to share with you from going through the budget, starting to kind of pull off our own commentary on that as well. Doing some calculations on our side too. We've already started doing some of those when it comes to things like the new corporation tax rate. Does it still make sense to pay yourself a salary and a dividend, or might it make sense to change what that looks like from that point in time? We're working through some of those calculations just now as well. So making sure, make sure you tune in for that. So Mark John Parry saying government grants, how do apply for apprenticeship and the digital allowances? So in terms of the new digital allowances that have been announced, Mark, it looks like you need to go to Rishi Sunak did mention the URL, which I think was, so gov.uk/help to grow is some of the digital courses and things that they're going to be releasing on that side. Oh, I just bashed my microphone as well. And then in terms of the new grants, the Restart grant, we don't know how we apply for that yet. We haven't figured that out yet, but I would suspect that the new Restart grant, which is available from April, would be through your local authority, is what we would guess, because that's how all the other grants have been released so far. For those of you that have not heard about the Restart grants that were announced at lunchtime today, there are going to be, there's one for non-essential retail, which will be up to £6,000 worth of grants per premises. And there's a hospitality and leisure grant, which is going to be up to 18,000. We expect those to be applied for via your local authority, but we are not 100% on the detail yet. Of course, it was only announced a couple of hours ago. a maximum a couple of hours ago. So we're not clear on exactly those details yet, but that is what we would expect based on how other grants have done as well. Some new loan schemes announced as well for businesses too. And of course, an increase in national minimum wage from April 2021 for businesses to contend with as well. So there's a lot happening when it comes to the finances at this point in time. And like I say, I'll go much deeper on the budget stuff this evening at 8 p.m. So do join me for that as well. Mark, I don't know if that's answered your questions or not. If it hasn't, please let me know any further follow-up that you have on that so I can help you with that too. And I've got itchy nose too. Oh dear. So, we do expect that basically the announcements that have come through in the budget, we will get much more detail on that, I'm sure, as they're written into law, as they come through. We'll get more detail over the next few days as well around the nuances of any of these and what those mean specifically. But like I say, we're going to work through those too. Mark, you are welcome. This is the Business Well Show for those of you that are tuning in, and thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. This is Strategic Chats, which is my open Q&A session, which means I am here to answer any questions that you may have about your business or indeed about mine, or indeed about general finances, the economy, all those types of things. That is why I run this Strategic Chats session, for you to have that opportunity to type into the comments bar and ask anything that you wish. That is exactly why I am here. So I would love for more questions to come in if anyone has those, so that I can answer those. And I'm just going to take a drink of my water as well. So like I say, wherever you are watching today, please do ask any questions that you have in the chat. That is why we are here. I'm going to be doing a budget session at 8 p.m. this evening, which will dig much more into the budget. Also, whilst you're here, I would be silly not to share that we are running the Wealth Lab, building your implementable profit plan, which kicks off on the 22nd of March as well. That is where I teach you exactly how to build a profit plan for your business. That is the absolute bedrock of financial health for a business, and you do need to register to join me for that, but it is completely free. You can go to annetteandco.co.uk/TWL, standing for the Wealth Lab, in order to register. So do make sure you do that as well, so that you can come and join me for that too, and we can build your profit plan together to get your profit where it needs to be, where you want it to be, to get your take home where you want it to be, to get the team on board that you want to get on board, and to free up your time if you want to do that too. All those things happen within the Wealth Lab. So I'm looking forward to you joining me there. Justine is saying, can I elaborate more on the VAT reverse charge that was recently announced? So Justine, I think this is probably the reverse charge in relation to the construction industry, that specifically that you are asking about. And that did change from the 1st of March, 2021. So what happened there is that basically there's a domestic VAT reverse charge that needs to be used for most supplies of building and construction services. And they apply to standard and reduced rate VAT services for individuals or businesses who are registered for VAT in the UK and who report within the construction industry scheme. So what that means is that if you are in construction, if you're in heating and installation, if you are in kind of even painting and decorating, then you need to be looking at that VAT reverse charge scheme and taking that into account potentially when you are out there quoting for jobs, when you're out there and you're preparing your VAT return as well. So it's a rather large topic, the VAT Reverse Charge scheme. Now, if you are in construction and you are not sure whether this applies to you or not, when you are researching it, do make sure that you watch kind of where you're looking, because there have been various other VAT Reverse Charge schemes that have happened over the years. So we don't want you going and finding the wrong one, looking up something that doesn't make sense to you, because if you get the wrong one, it's going to be very weird. It's not going to make any sense whatsoever. So do make sure that when you are looking it up, you do look up the correct VAT Reverse Charge scheme. Make sure that you do ensure that your accountant is applying it where applicable as well when they are preparing their VAT return, because basically what happens is that you need to make sure, first of all, that your accounting software can cope with it, that it is going to work. You need to assess the impact on your cash flow, because it will have an impact on cash flow as well. So you need to be looking at this from all areas of your business to ensure that it's going to apply or not apply to you, and make sure that you really do understand what the financial impact is going to be. So like I say, it came into effect on the 1st of March 2021. So do make sure that you have, which is of course 2 days ago. So do make sure that you are you're looking to make sure and see if you are eligible for that under the eligibility criteria as well. So I hope that helps. On that, Justine, it's specifically for the construction industry. So you do need to make sure that you are, if you're in that industry, that you are assessing whether it's for you or not. So that's the biggie on there. Any other questions, please do let me know. Please do share any questions that you have. All those things, because that's exactly why I'm here. Okay, so what advice would I give to someone about to go self-employed for the first time? Later on this year, I will be moving to work in a new field as an instructor, part-time business owner. I am a little worried as to how to ensure I keep up to date with taxes and tracking my day-to-day expenses. Great question, John. So if you're going self-employed for the first time, you do need to register with HMRC. So make sure that you do that. It's a form on their website. You'll just be able to Google kind of HMRC register as self-employed, and you'll be able to complete that form. So do make sure that you do register as self-employed with HMRC. And then what you do need to do is you do need to keep a track of your income and expenses that are wholly and necessarily for the purposes of your business. Now that can be done in Excel. It can be done in a bookkeeping package or something like that. But you do need to keep track of them. So what I would recommend is that you set aside, an hour or two a week. You probably don't even need that long in the beginning to actually keep a handle on them. If you're not going to look at taking on an accountant and bookkeeper to do this, or bookkeeper to do this for you, then I would recommend that you set aside some time in your own diary to keep up to date with it, because the last thing you want to happen is that a year from now, you have hours and hours and hours of work to do, gathering stuff together, forgetting what you've spent, not sure where information is. That is the most painful thing that you could imagine. Therefore, making sure that you get into a habit early on that, every Tuesday at 4 or whatever it might be, you sit down and you log your income, you log your expenditure, and then you will keep on top of it as well. So that would be the big thing for that. And then in terms of keeping up to date with when taxes are due and things, get that in your diary. Just set it as a recurring appointment in your Google Diary or whatever diary it is you use. If you're self-employed, the big date you need to think about is the 31st of January. That is the deadline for submissions. But you also need to think about the 31st of July, where you may or may not have a tax payment due on that day as well. So those are the two dates that are going to be upmost in your mind when it comes to your taxes. So I hope that helps, John, in terms of what you might think about. Tillian, lovely to have you on. It's lovely to see you. What advice would you give? My partner will join me in the business. We live in the same house. What would be the business tax benefits or not of doing this? This depends a little bit on your partner's tax status. If they have other sources of income, or not. Typically, what most people would do in that situation is they bring them on as a director of the company and they bring them on as a shareholder. Now, if I was a lawyer, I would probably be saying to you, if you bring them on as a director and a shareholder, you should have a shareholders agreement in place so that should anything go south in the relationship, you're both protected on that basis. We've had a client recently who had his now ex-wife as a shareholder, and it's got very messy. So, even having a shareholder agreement if you're married is a good thing to have, is kind of good practice to protect everybody from the worst case scenario. But what we would typically do is if your partner had no other sources of income, and you had no other sources of income, then you typically take them on 50-50 shareholder in the business. You would pay them a salary for some work that they do in the business. You'd pay you a salary and you would both pay yourself dividends. That would spread out your allowances, and that would mean that you could legally pay as little tax as you can spread between the household. That is typically what we would do in that situation. But without knowing in depth about your partner's tax position, that's about as much as I'd be able to say. You want to assess it basically based on what their tax position and your tax position is. So you do need to look at both in order to kind of work out the total picture. But I hope that helps, Tilly, and give you an overall idea of what we would suggest there. He is making income through self-employment. Okay, in which case, then you probably don't want money to come out through him unless his self-employment profits are low and you can still make use of his basic rate band for his basic rate tax band. If his profits are low, then you are probably going to not necessarily want to have him as a salary. You may just want to have him as a shareholder and give him some dividend income to make use of his dividend allowance. So that might be a way to do it on that basis. So yeah, it will then depend on kind of where his self-employment is sitting. If he's in a higher rate tax bracket and self-employed, then you're going to only want to use his kind of £2,000 worth of dividend allowance. But if he's in one of the lower tax brackets and in a lower tax bracket than you, then it may make sense to make use of some of his tax allowances and tax brackets at the same time. So looking at that balance between the two of you, who's in the higher tax brackets and who's in the lower, and then making use of the lower tax brackets where you can for the other person. I hope that helps, Tillian. You are welcome, John. You're more than welcome. So yeah, let me know, Tillian, if that answers your question on that one, and we can always hop on a call and go through it too if you want. So this is Strategic Chats. This is my open Q&A where I answer any question that you may have about your business or indeed about mine. I'm happy and here to answer those. So thank you everyone who is tuning in. Thank you everyone who is joining me today. I love doing these Q&A sessions and answering the questions that you have about your business. So I do appreciate the questions in the comments. That's what I enjoy. I enjoy working with your questions. So I very much appreciate it. You are welcome, Tillian. No problem at all. So I'm going to take another drink of my water. I'm going to see if we've got any more questions coming in. I'm just going to check to make sure I've not missed any at the same time as well. There we go. Let me just check through the questions. So I think that is, I think I've answered all the questions that we have coming in. I'll give everyone 30 more seconds. If you want to put in a question, I will stay here and answer those. So do make sure that you ask any more questions that you might have. I'm happy to answer those questions. As I mentioned, if you're not already registered for the Wealth Lab, building your implementable profit plan, then do make sure you register. It's completely free. Why wouldn't you want to register and come and join us so you can build a profit plan in your business as well? Thank you everyone for tuning in today. I know your time is precious and I hope you have enjoyed spending some of that precious time with me today. I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. I am back again. I will be on Clubhouse actually tomorrow at 12, and I will be back live again wherever you are watching on Monday at 3 p.m. So thanks for joining me, everyone. Take care.